Hey guys, this is Adrianoni22 coming at you with a deck profile from my buddy, the Future Online 619, and he's going to do a deck profile. This is his Fairy Toolbox deck. This guy right here, my personal opinion, is probably the most competitive player at our league. Takes first or second place every single week, and this is his deck. So let's check it out.
Alright, so first things first, Pokemon-wise, so I have 2 Aromateas, 3 Spritzy. The Spritzy that does damage, not the one that heals, just because I'm more aggressive. Aromateas, if you don't know what it does, ability, I can move my fairy energy around as much as I want. So that does count for Rainbow, and it does count for Prism, which I do run. So you can use a variety of different energies and have a bunch of different attackers off this engine. Next up, I run 2 Xerneas, the regular one. It's a good non-EX attacker with 3 for 100, and you just discard an energy. But I mainly use it for the Geomancy. Choose 2 bench Pokemon and then search my deck for a fairy energy and attach it. So basically, essentially, I can get 3 energy off in 1 turn.
I'm trying to cover the light, sorry.
Oh. 3 energy off in 1 turn in order to just set up more. Next up, I run a Jirachi EX. It's just for consistency. Once I drop it from my hand, I search my deck for supporters so I can get a Fan Club, a Juniper, a Alessandra if I need for the win. I don't really use it for its attack, but it is super effective against fairies, but you never really attack with it. Next I run a Darkrai EX, obviously for the free retreat. As any of my Pokemon have a rainbow energy on it, it does provide it as a dark, so everything has free retreat. But it does have a pretty good attack, if not one of the best in the game. 90 to the active and 30 to the bench, which has always been good. I run a Zekrom EX. This is for Lugia and for anything else that's weak to lightning. Strong Volt, 150. If it's weak to lightning, it's not going to survive. But with the Muscle Band, 170, and it's going to knock out most EX Pokemon except for, you know, like Groudon, Darkrai, and a couple of others. That's mainly what I use it for if I need big damage right away. I run a Virizion EX to counter statuses. My Rainbow and my Prism count as grass, so once I move it around, they instantly get healed from statuses, or you can't affect them from statuses. And then the Emerald Slash is pretty good against Squirtles and such like that. Most of them you can one-shot it, and it has resistance to water. I run a Kabalion EX, 1 for the Righteous Edge. It's a quick attacker, 1 energy for 30, and you discard a special energy, which has messed a lot of people up. Just being able to discard that special energy means a lot, and I can always be ahead 1 turn with the energy attachments. And then the Steel Bullet, it goes through everything. It's a straight 100, so it goes through Pyroar, it goes through Latias, which I actually run as well, Siggy, and Suicune, so that's why I really run that. I run a Latias also myself. Bright Down, if the defending Pokemon or any Pokemon really has an ability, they can't touch it. So there's, if it's like a Greninja, you can still put damage on it, but if it has an ability, they can't touch it. No statuses, no anything. And then its attack goes through everything. So essentially, if you have an ability, you know, like Suicune can't hit this, but this can hit Suicune, even though Safeguard stops EXs from attacking. I run a Magnezone EX just for bench damage. That 50 to 2 Pokemon is really, really good. You can stop Swablues from dropping. I can stop other Spritzys from hitting the fields instantly, or my opponent's trying to set up something, I can get a couple of hits on it and then bring it back to the bench just to try to set up for KOs. That's mainly what it's for. I run a lot of Pokemon. I run a 1 Xerneas EX, also my big attacker, X-Blast for 140, and it can attack, but also has more bench damage with the breakthrough, 60 to the active, 30 to the bench, so it can essentially set up my X-Blast for 1-hit KOs or anything else really. And then I ran Palkia EX, that's my dragon attacker. 3 colorless for 50. If it's with the dragon, obviously it's going to be 100, and then I can switch it out and promote a Suicune, which I do run, or something else that you know, I just don't want to be that active. I run a Mewtwo for X-Ball, obviously. I opted for Mewtwo over Yveltal just because Lucario is going to come out, so Mewtwo is going to be a pretty big counter to it, and I mean X-Ball obviously is just a destructive attack. Then my last Pokemon I run is Suicune. That's my Safeguard Pokemon as well as my water attacker. With the band, it one-shots those Delphoxes, those Embors, and any of that other crap with it. And then that's that's what I could strafe into, try to stall. That's my Pokemon line. Onto my trainers and supporters. Trainers will run one power pad to get all my supporters back, just in case I have to ditch a Lysandre or something else, or if I'm running low on supporters, I could just put them back into my deck. Self-explanatory. One Starling Megaphone. Garbodor for me doesn't really seem to be a problem. I mainly just run this to get rid of float stones, which are a problem, but I just stick to the one tech. I could probably run two, which I might once the rotation happens, but right now one's been doing fine for me. Same with Super Rod. Just Super Rod or whatever Pokemon, if not energy, back into my deck, and I can just Geomancy it back. My stadiums are in 2 Fairy Garden, just because if I lose the stadium more, I have a Dark Rice, so everything still has free retreat regardless. And then even my Virizion, they won't have statuses because Burbank and what's the other big stadium? Burbank and
Hypnotox?
Yeah, there you go. It's like a really, really big thing. So that's just like my counter stadium, as well as if I don't have Dark Rice, if it's priced, that's what I run. I run 2 Muscle Band, plus 20 damage is amazing, obviously. It helps to be able to one-shot stuff or guaranteed 2-shot other EX Pokemon. I run 3 Max Potion with the Aromatisse. I can move my energy off my damaged Pokemon, Max Potion it, and then move it back to it, which is fairly annoying for my opponent, but this isn't anything new. The Hydreigon and the old Cling still ran the same kind of engine, so I mean, once you're running an Aromatisse deck, it's kind of necessary. I run 1 Level Ball to get my Jirachi if I need it, or to get anything in my Aromatisse line. I know it's going to rotate, so I'll switch it for something else. But that's what I just run 1 of. Other balls, I run 3 Ultra Ball, discard 2, and get anything out on the deck. Every deck's going to run these. I might up it once the rotation happens, but 3 is just what I run. Onto my supporters, I run 2 Skyla, so I can search for any of this. If I need a Muscle Band, if I need a Fairy Guardian, if I need a Max Potion, I can get any of that, as well as getting a supporter, but hopefully I wouldn't need to get a supporter. I run 2 Chorus. I'm more than likely always going to have a full bench. I try to opt to have both my Aromatisse now, and then counter Pokemon to whatever I'm facing, whether it's Dragon, whether it's Water, whether it's Fighting, whatever the case may be. So my bench is always going to be full, so instead of running a Shauna, I opt for Caress, because I'm always going to Caress, usually at least for 5, and then some, depending on however many my opponent has. I run 4 Juniper, self-explanatory. Sometimes you just need to just junk your hand and just get in fresh 7. Every deck is really going to run this, if not Sycamore, same thing, but I just opted for that because I have full art. I run 3 Fan Club, outstanding opening supporter to search for 2 basic Pokemon. So I can get my double Spritzy if I need it, my Spritzy and Darkrai, which I get a lot, so I can have that free retreat right off the bat. And I've even fan clubbed for like a Spritzy and a Jirachi, drop the Jirachi and set up the supporter for next turn, just in case it might give my opponent insight and they'll just end me anyway, so I can save my supporter, which has actually happened a lot. And I ran 2 Lysandre, staple in any deck. It's catcher but in supporter form without a flip. Quick KO prizes to stall. I have a lot of bench damaging Pokemon, so I like to Lysandre something active that either has a higher retreat cost or they don't want any active and they can't get out right away, and then I just hit around it, so that's why I run it. Trainers, my A-Spec to Dowsing Machine, because I can get literally any of these cards back. So I have a 3rd Lysandre, a 5th Juniper, a 3rd Chorus, a 3rd Fairy Guardian, a 3rd Muscle Band, so on and so forth. You just discard 2 and get anything from your discard pile, which happens. It's the best A-Spec for me, in a sense, because sometimes I have to jump my Muscle Band, or I might get in a bind where I need that Max Potion or whatever the case may be. So I just like Dowsing Machine the most. Yeah. Oh, that was my last trainer. And then my energy, I run 4 Rainbow Energy. It's every energy. Just put 10 on that Pokemon, which isn't a big deal since I run Max Potion. 4 Prism, even though they're going to rotate, that's fine. Still the same thing as Rainbow Energy, except for I don't do the 10. And it's only for really basic Pokemon. So if, for whatever reason, if a Prism were to get attached to an Aromatisse, it instantly turns into a colorless. But I never do that anyway. And then my basic energy is Sig Fairy. Really for the Geomancy, I can get that going real quick. I might drop it down to 5, but 6 has been working for me pretty good, which is a total of 16 energy. Other than that,
I do have one question I think our viewers are going to ask you. Why do you opt for the 2 spritzy out as quickly as possible? What is the advantage to having 2 aromatiz up?
Oh, because, I mean, as soon as they see the spritzy at the field, like, it just has a big red target on it. I've always opted for whatever my support Pokemon is, whether it was Eeltrick when that was being able to run aromatiz now, whatever the case may be. I always want to opt to get at least 2 spritzy down so I can have a turn for that aromatiz, because once that aromatiz gets out and have these big bases going, it's almost pretty much unstoppable, unless you're hitting for weakness or I get energy locked or if I don't get a supporter. But I never really just drop 1 spritzy. I always try to go for 2 just for that reason, because it's going to get Lissandre up, or even if I started with it, they might just one-hit KO in this format. You can one-shot pretty much anything, so I always opt to get down at least 2 spritzy, and I always try to get at least both my aromatiz, because at that point, with how my opponents have honestly really been playing, once they see that aromatiz out, they just leave it alone. I mean, getting 1 prize, sure, but I mean, since I have a second aromatiz, I can still keep my energy switching going, so I try to opt for the 2 spritzy and then get the 2 aromatiz out, so they'll just leave it alone. They'll focus on my big EX Pokemon, but with Max Potion, they'll have a lot more survivability, you know, with being able to move my energy around and then being able to Max Potion.
Okay, so you're saying having 2 aromatiz on the field basically takes the big target off their forehead.
Correct, yeah. I mean, situationally, I mean, if you have some big EX Pokemon active that you can't hit, whether it's a Suicune or a Latias, or if it's hitting you for weakness, you're going to want to try to take the pressure off of the aromatiz and try to knock out this active EX Pokemon that's one-shotting, if not putting a lot of damage on your field. So with that being said, my EX Pokemon have way more survivability than my aromatiz. So if you're not really one-shotting these EX Pokemon, I have the Max Potion there, and I have other EX Pokemon that's going to be able to take 2 or 3 hits, if not already get the knockout on that active Pokemon. So getting the 2 aromatiz, 1, they're still going to go for it, because if you knock it out and I can't get another one set up, there goes my energy switching. Once you put damage on my Pokemon that have energy, I'm personally not going to want to Max Potion it off, because there goes my energy, of course. So I want to try to get 2 down, because it does take the target off their head, because they're going to see that I have these EX Pokemon, and they're going to want to go after them.
Okay, so that's probably a big reason why you win a lot of your games. But
as well as I have, I mean, aside for electric, just because of how they're hitting,
you have a lot of bench hitting in this deck. It's one thing I've noticed, and I think everybody else would notice, is that this deck stacks damage on top of having big HP and being able to heal that away. So personally, I would probably say this is probably the best toolbox in the fishing boat, so to speak.
You can go a lot of different ways with this deck. This is just how I want to run it. I feel as though stuff on the bench, they're not going to want to get hit, but I want to hit it. I want to set up my other Pokemon to knock out these Pokemon. So if you have something on the bench that you don't want to get hit, I'm going to try to hit it for 50. I'm going to try to hit it for 30 or even 30 with Darkrai. That's just how I built my list. I think bench damage is a really, really crucial thing, especially when you're getting down to the wire with those last few prizes. Something that's going to have 30 or 50 damage on it already is already in the one-shot KO range with a lot of these other Pokemon. If you're not already getting hit by weakness, I have everything really except for fire. I don't really care for fire, and there's not really much grass played, so I do not have a fire attacker. But I mean, with Xerneas doing 140, with Palkia doing 80, Mewtwo doing however much damage I needed to do, straight 90, something's either getting one-shotted or it's definitely getting 2-shotted as well. And that's where I run that Zekrom too. So that 150 plus the Muscle Band 170. If you're not Darkrai, if you're not Magnezone, you're gonna die. You know what I mean? You're gonna die.
All right, guys. So I think unless he has anything else he wants to add.
No, not at all.
All right. This has been the Future Online 169 and Adrianoni22 signing off. Please remember to comment and subscribe. I'll leave a link in the description to his channel. He has a lot more videos than I do, so please feel free to check him out and comment and subscribe on his videos. Thanks, guys.